Well, the peloton now, the whole tactics have changed now. They've caught everybody up front. It's TJ Van Garderen there who's sitting in second place, as he is a very good sprinter, Paul. Now it's time to remind you, in the race today, the first 3 riders to cross that finishing line receive small time bonuses which come off their overall time. So the winner will get 10 seconds off his time. Second gets 6, and then 4 for the third. And we've got an attack here by Hayden Royalson.
Well, it's a very good move. This guy is a very good track rider, and he's the national champion of New Zealand, and he's caught everybody off guard. He had a couple of teammates at the front, Hayden Royalston, they call him Rolly, and he rolls all over that machine of his currently, and his teammates set that up to perfection because there were 2 HTC high road riders on the front of the main field. Now, it gets a bit confusing sometimes because when you are the national champion, you get to wear the national colours of your country, and sometimes people forget that they're riding for the same team.
And he is from New Zealand. His colours are black, the national flag colours. Now that was a well manipulated move there, and that's how he did it. He went out off the wheel of TJ Van Garderen. Just look now, those boys aren't going to lift the pace because they're his teammates, and so they've tried to back it off now. Hayden Royalton, the only race he's won this year was in New Zealand in January, and that was his national title.
Well, a couple of guys have seen that as a very dangerous move. There are 2 chasers coming across the gap there. We talked about how difficult it was to stay off the front end of a pack like this at speeds of 31 miles an hour around the streets of downtown Denver, but he is the one kind of bike rider who could do it. An incredible background of racing on the track, and his team, you see how the HTC riders, that's Danny Pate to the front there, they're trying to slow the main field going around these corners.
Well, Will Duggan has sneaked through there for Liquigas Cannondale because he doesn't want these boys to spoil the party for the sprinters. 1 lap to go now. The bell rings out. Hayden Royalton looks over his shoulder. There's help coming. If 3 guys can get together, the sprinters might be caught out. Leading the peloton is Will Duggan.
And again, sitting in 2nd, 3rd and 4th position there, Phil. You've got the riders from HTC High Road, and every time they go around the corner, they just back it off a fraction, giving the advantage to their teammate in front.
Right, Will has just been renamed. In fact, it's Tim Duggan who's out there on front. The same man, he is an American, rides on the Italian squad. He's trying to contain these 3 riders for his team sprinter Viviani. So the pressure now is they're all trying to get off the front and slip the sprinters and spoil the party.
Again, let's just remind ourselves, none of these guys are at all dangerous to the overall standings of Levi Leipheimer, because this is all about having a consistent time on every individual stage of a bike race like the USA Pro Cycling Challenge. And Levi Leipheimer has beaten a lot of these guys that are in that breakaway field by 10 and 15 minutes so far.
Well, Team Spider Tech here, I think this is Flavio De Luna who they've got in the breakaway. They've only got 4 riders left of their 8. They've lost 4 on the way here. One with quite a nasty crash, Andrew Brandel, in that big pileup we saw on day 2 of the race on the Cottonwood Pass. Well, the field now have got to reorganize themselves, and these are 3 separate teams here. That's big because it means 3 teams behind won't be chasing.
Well, these 3 now are Hayden Royalton. He's in the black and white jersey, the Kiwi national champion, joined there by Oscar Alvarez of Gobernación de Antioquia, the Colombian squad. He wears number 157, and right in there as well for Team Spider Tech, it's Ryan Roth, but he's lost 41 minutes since the start of this bike race. But that doesn't matter. If you can win the final stage, if you can win any stage of a bike race like this, it's a little bit of personal glory.
Well, that's why these boys getting away, Leipheimer won't be concerned at all. It's not going to affect his final victory, which is now only minutes away. So he won't chase them. He won't ask his team to chase them down. He'll want the pressure to go on the other teams. He'll sit there. He's in the driving seat now. He's paid the price, and he's got the best seats in the theatre. No,
he certainly has. His team are going to take a back seat now and see how the other guys decide to unravel this little bit of a picture problem that they've got, because they know that there are a lot of sprinters in this race want to win the final stage. It's a bit of glory for a sprinter to win on the final stage of a multi-day stage race like this, and that's why they've gone to the back, Team Radio Shack. They'll still keep a very close eye on Levi Leipheimer because he wouldn't want to lose 10 or 15 seconds in the last couple of kilometres.
Well, we're looking at the 3 leaders now, and the glimpse we had of the peloton there is indicating that Liquigas for Viviani have lost a little bit of control of the chase because the riders aren't on the front of that peloton at the moment. And so to me now, these boys might have pulled off a little bit of a surprise.
Well, Liquigas or Velio Viviani, the big man who's won the last 2 stages in a row, have got to get themselves organised. The time gap has now stretched up to 12 seconds advantage for these 3 leaders. Royalton keeps coming to the front. the other rider in the black jersey, Oscar Alvarez of Gobernación de Antioquia. It's amazing to look at the amount of time these riders have lost, but all of a sudden they found the power and the desire to win the final stage.
They've warmed to the flatter roads of Denver after our journey of a week through the highest road in the state of Colorado. Cottonwood Pass, Independence Pass. These boys have been mountaineering and conquered the lot. Now they just want to win here outside of the State House. Now, as we watch here, the three are working well together. Little glance over the shoulder there by Ryan Roth, and he's seen the gap, and he's going to take a lot of good feelings from that. The Spider Tech team, which is a Canadian team, devastated by the fact they've lost half of their squad during the week, now are in with a chance of a win.
Well, it's an interesting team as well, put together by Steve Bauer, the very famous Canadian cyclist who on a couple of occasions wore the yellow jersey in the Tour de France, and back in 1990 he wore the yellow jersey for 10 days, and he's created this Spider Tech team, and this is Roth on the front with the pale blue jersey, because he wants to build up a Canadian squad to possibly participate in the Tour de France in the next couple of years.
So they've really just got to get their head down now and hope that they've done all that is required to win the day. The gap is there, but the time is running out. We are on the final lap of the race. We are halfway around it, and they've not got them yet. But let's think about yesterday, Paul. They came up with 700 yards to go.
Well, you might see this orange jersey. Well, in fact, this is in fact Andy Schleck. He's wearing the orange jersey for the most aggressive performance of yesterday, and today he's putting in a sterling ride here again. He has to be one of the most popular foreign riders riding in the USA Pro Cycling Challenge here, and he said last night, he put out on Twitter that he felt riding over that final climb of the day yesterday, he thought he was actually in the Tour de France.
Well, that is a brave move by Andy Schleck. He really does advertise his attacks, though, and he's gone clear again. So Schleck is trying to bridge the gap to the leaders. What this is doing is keeping the pressure on, full-on pressure. No chance just to get a few deep breaths and ease back and prepare for the sprint. There's no opportunity now. They are racing right up to the red line of their effort.
I'll tell you one thing, Andy Schleck has got himself across that gap, well, halfway across that gap, and the main field are actually starting to lose their impetus, because the gap from the three leaders to the main field is now stretched out to 15 seconds. The team Liquigas, who are trying to get their sprinter to the front end of this race this afternoon, are going to have to get themselves organised, Phil, pretty smartish.
So these are the three riders. The Canadian Ryan Roth is on the right hand side. He's just getting back onto the tail. They might well have seen that Andy Schleck is coming, but so too is the fragmenting peloton as they're all trying to sweep it up. They are desperate now to shut this race down for the sprinters. They're not far from the finish.
Well, Andy Schleck got halfway across the gap, and all of a sudden he stumbled, and he's back in the main field very, very rapidly. I can just spot the yellow jersey there on the left-hand side, Levi Leipheimer. He's staying at the front end of this pack. He's not going to be a sprinter down towards the end, but he's just being there to keep away from any possibility of an accident. Schleck is back in the main field. The pale green jersey you might just have noticed there is that young sprinter, 22 years of age, from Italy, Elia Viviani.
Well, this is a nail-biting finish now for sure. Those three are still surviving. And there is the peloton over the tram tracks, trying now to bring back. Ryan Roth is keeping the pressure on at the front. He's being followed there by Oscar Alvarez and Hayden Royston. Those three riders are still working together, but the peloton is chasing. It is the Rabobank team from Holland now who are also trying to whip up the pace. They've got a very good sprinter in Dennis van Winden.
It's pretty much all over here now as we look at 1.5 miles to go to the finish, 2.5 kilometers. The three men try to break the stranglehold of the sprinters, but Royston's gone straight over the top again.
Royston, who started the move, no, it's not, it's Ryan Roth this time who's made a move as he's tried to crack them. As they pick up Royston and Alvarez, it is still the Canadian trying to destroy the sprinters' hopes.
Well, you can see that was a pretty impressive move. He went over the top. HTC have now launched a man out of the pack to try and get across here. The sprinters are trying to control the front end of the main field to make sure that there's no confusion on this running towards the finish. Very shortly, they're going to see a banner over the finishing line, which they will all be waiting for. It'll be a banner that will indicate the final 1,000 meters, 1 kilometer.
And will a Canadian pull this off? A little glance over his shoulder, and he decides to get on with it, but they're coming at him very, very quickly now. It looks as though HTC High Road, it is indeed, who are trying to. Danny Pate was the man launching the sprint there, as now it's sort of United Healthcare to put in their move with Adrian Heveregard in. Now the field is all together, but they're still not waiting for the sprint. They've launched again now. This is another attack.
This in fact is TJ Van Garderen, the young rider from Team HTC High Road. He will not give up his third overall. And I tell you what, as we go under the max, there's 1 kilometre to go. It's all back together. Levi Leipheimer is on the defensive.
1,000 metres from the finish, and Leipheimer is still chasing TJ Van Garderen. He doesn't want him to get even a few seconds time bonus. The whole peloton going to the last 800 metres together.
Well, this is amazing. These guys at the backfield, they've got no chance of a victory here this afternoon because they are just sitting up. They cannot keep the pace going in this final dash for the line right around the corner. Everybody nice and safely. TJ Van Garderen is in first position, followed there by Levi Leipheimer. 5th place is Elio Viviani in the lime green jersey.
And that's the one to watch out for. Watch for the all green jersey now. Daniela Oss is going to lead him through. He's been pushed off the wheel. No, Viviani's got 2nd around the corner. No, he hasn't. He's got 3rd around the corner. This is going to be a line up for the finish now. Viviani is perfectly placed. Daniela Oss is leading it out for the 3rd day running. Now, can he launch Viviani to win number 3 of 3? And surely he can. He's actually given it to Daniel Oss. He just let his teammate take it. He didn't need to pass him. That was the reward of 2 days of victories by Oss over Viviani. And there is the winner of the inaugural first ever Pro Cycling Challenge we have seen, and it's gone to the American Levi Leipheimer.
Well, Leipheimer was put under a little bit of pressure over those final few kilometres. I take my hat off to TJ Van Garderen. He really tried right the way up to the finish line, but just take a little bit of a wind back, Phil. Daniel Oss was gifted the victory there by his own teammate, and you might have noticed Elio Viviani was looking around over his shoulder to see if anybody was going to beat his teammate, and he sat up there and said, mate, it's yours. It
was all too easy at that speed for those 2 top sprinters. The present was returned to Oss. There he is there. He's got his stage win. Unselfishly these past 2 days, he's led out Viviani, launched into the line and watched him win. Today, Viviani returned the compliment.
But he was waiting there, Phil. He probably could have got past his teammate. He just looked over his left shoulder, his right shoulder, to see if there was any shadows coming up from behind. And once he saw that his teammate could get it, he just stood back a fraction.
But that's when that would also confuse the other riders in the sprint, because they will wait for Viviani to go. And Viviani didn't have to go because his teammate was taking the victory. So it was looked pretty easy in the end, and that's what happens when it all works out. Tim Duggan there will be very pleased with himself, seeing his teammates go 1st and 2nd after all of his hard work throughout the afternoon here in Denver to bring that race back together in time for the big sprint finish.
Well, let's have a quick look at that once more, Phil. That was a greatly timed sprint there. You can see there is Daniel Oss, and strangely enough, despite the fact that he's a very good sprinter, that's only the 2nd ever victory of his professional career. The last time he won was last year when he won the Giro del Veneto in the northern part of Italy.
Yeah, but he too is still a very young rider, 24 years of age, and 22 in the case of Viviani. It's another double victory for Viviani, really, because he's consolidated and has now won this race on points, which is the 2nd most important classification. There he is. He wears that green jersey, Smashburger points champion, and the points jersey, by the way, goes to the most consistent daily finisher. Well, he just got.
So let's have a quick look. There's confirmation. So Daniel Oss getting himself the victory ahead of Elia Viviani. Freddie Rodriguez was right up there in 3rd place, so a nice move by Fast Freddie. And Danny Summerhill, the new professional for Team Garmin-Cervelo, he's only just signed up during the course of this week, in 4th place. Levi Leipheimer, very consistent, in 6th, and making sure there were no problems at all. Sergio Henayo from Gobernación de Antioquia, he was 7th. Rory Sutherland up there in 8th. Danny Lloyd in 9th, and George Hincapie in the top 10 in 10th place. But there was a little bit of a time split. It shouldn't affect the overall results at all, as we go back down there to see the man who has won the bike race this week, Levi Leipheimer. He was consistent throughout. He lost the lead on the road down into Aspen on a treacherous descent away from Independence Pass, and then he wrenched it back again in the individual time trial away from Vale.